Okay, here's what I'll say about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So maybe 2-3 hours ago. I understand the critics that didn't like it. I know it's currently rocking high 80s on the Rotten Tomatoes, I think, or something like that. And I can see where those 20% of, like, not for me are. I understand why this might be more difficult for some people. It's just a more complicated movie because we've seen more stuff happen with these guys, and, like, you know, Infinity War and Endgame and the consequences of that are finally coming to, you know, we're seeing these characters deal with that. And maybe if you're not on board with the whole long-term storytelling, you're not going to like it. I think the people that think that it's a lot, like, bloated, I don't think that's necessarily true. I mean, they think that, but, like, I think it balances all of that rather well. I think for a movie with, like, 6 or 7 main characters, which is always what these have been, it feels, like, pretty solid. I think they do a great job in this of giving everybody some interesting stuff to do, interesting kind of character and interesting moments where they kind of show off why they make sense on this team. It's a lot of stuff happening, a lot of people flying around and shooting, but there's also a lot of, like, chilling out and just talking, which is fun. The critics I don't agree with. There's one thing that I've seen kind of circulating on the internet that I think is misrepresents how I feel this movie works. It's people that use the word grim. I don't think this is a grim movie. I think this is a very, and here's the difference, right? There's dark and grim. Dark is like stuff happens. It's like upsetting stuff happens, right? Grim, I would say, is like upsetting stuff happens to kind of make everybody feel bad. You know, like it's like a grim Game of Thrones is grim, where you watch it and, you know, at the end you're just like, man, I'm gonna feel bad when they, you know, do Red Wedding to somebody, and like that's kind of what you're there for. But also it's like, that's not dark, you know, like Batman is dark, but a Batman story can also be a story where at the end you're supposed to, you know, believe in the human spirit and stuff. Like I just think calling this movie grim, it feels like you're kind of missing the point. And considering all the stuff that happens in this movie, and I did not think of it that way at all. I think, in fact, like, the thing that I could see as being, like, upsetting to people, and I get it, is the animal stuff. Because we got Rocket's backstory, and he was, like, a little animal experiment. And they really go for it, but, you know, it's not like that wasn't part of his whole deal. This isn't just something we're springing on you. Oh, by the way, Rocket Raccoon, you know, that happy-go-lucky, normal little raccoon with the gun? It turns out he's had some past. His past is tricky. Like, of course, we always knew he was, like, an experiment guy, and he was very sad. So I would say the tone of this matters. Like, the tone of this differs in a way that matters. It's just that we're seeing something happen now. Which, if anything, I think that the movie earns that by taking this character and, you know, giving you so much time with Rocket and, like, so many reasons to like Rocket. And then you can get away with something like this where it's not like you're not seeing it and feeling like, oh, they're just trying to make me feel bad. You're seeing it and you're like, oh, I get him now. Like, I get him more. I think I always, like, I wouldn't say I didn't get him before, but, like, it's a really good way to, like, here's what I mean. You couldn't start here, right? You couldn't start with Rocket Raccoon's origin. Like, you could, but, like, that would feel kind of like Game of Thronesy, or like, man, we're just trying to get sympathy for this poor guy, this poor character who, oh, he's so sad, woe is me, right? That is a way you could do something like this, but then it's like you'll start feeling bad for him. I think what I think is so interesting about Rocket's story is there's a little bit of that. You get parts of that and sprinkled in the first and second movies, but it's not until you really like him and feel like he's kind of got it together now. He's got a family. He's, you know, seems to have like a job, kind of, whatever this is. And yet, now let's start looking at this stuff, this box of, like, you know, backstory that he had. So I don't know. I think, like, I don't think it's grim. I think you'll leave feeling good, and I think it's still very funny. There's parts of it that I know people are kind of mixed on. Adam Warlock, I've heard people are kind of mixed on. I get it. He's not like the main character of the movie. I wouldn't say he even fills the same amount of role as like Adam Warlock in the Guardians of the Galaxy game. But I think for purposes of this story, that's just not what he's doing, and I think that's fine. I've heard people say that the High Evolutionary is they didn't like that the villain, and that part I find kind of strange because I think we've gotten too used to characters like, you know, Killmonger, Vulture, Thanos, all these villains with a point, and they're just like, they're trying to talk about society, and they've got a very close personal relationship with the bad guy or the good guy. I think there's something to that. There's also just a real piece of shit that just is mean and bad. And like, I think when this doesn't work, it's when they don't give them personality, right? Ronan the Accuser, Malekith, right? Caecilius to some extent, although he's kind of watchable. But like, the version of the High Evolutionary that we spend time with in this movie has so much going on. He's got so much presence. You really like, this is a guy who by the end of the movie, you're just supposed to, and by minute 5 of the movie, you're supposed to hate this guy. And also, he's very powerful, but also, like, I do like that the way he's written, he has like an ego. There's a character there. It's not just it's not just Ronan where he's just kind of giving little speeches. You can tell this guy has things he wants and things he likes and things he doesn't like, and the Guardians kind of bring some of that out of him, but then also you just get some of these backstory flashbacks with him and Rocket where you just get a sense for what this guy's deal is. And I don't know, I think he's a super effective villain. Like, I think it's a great, like, I don't think, and as someone who, and I like the High Evolutionary, he's over here. Here you are, Herbert. This is the High Evolutionary, in case anybody, he doesn't look like this in the movie. He's purple. But like, he's a weirdo guy. Like, he's not good. He's not cool. He's not like Doctor Doom. I mean, he's done some things. This is the thing with the High Evolutionary. You could pull him out of mothballs and have him do a Spider-Woman, or have him do a, like he's kind of connected to Scarlet Witch in them. And there's just lots of stories that he is a part of. I wouldn't say he's like the multi-tool of the like Marvel villains, but he is a guy who it's like, he's never out of place. If he shows up in an X-Men story, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess the High Evolutionary would be invested in them. Or like, if he, is in the far reaches of space, you're like, I guess he's looking for something. And like, to be fair, when Adam Warlock showed up, he was a High Evolutionary guy. So like, I think the truth of this, like, I think this character really works. I think it's a great performance. It's not like the most captivating villain because you like, oh, I really hope he gets to do experiments on Rocket Raccoon. Like, it's not that. You're not going to empathize with him, but you're gonna hate this guy, and that is great. Like, that works so well. I'm not really talking about the main cast because they're all great, and like, it's Marvel. They're all amazing at their role. Like, they've really settled into it. I think Zoe Saldana is very good in this. Oops, I dropped his little disc. Now he's just standing there like an idiot. Zoe Saldana is great in this as kind of new Gamora. I think that's the thing with this. Like, it's not, I could see a lesser version of this movie playing a lot of that stuff safe, and they don't. They really get into it. Like, it doesn't seem like that was what James Gunn wanted to do with this character. But now that he's got her back, it's like, all right, well, her and Peter, they're not really clicking. What's that going to be like? How are they going to get past that? What does that relationship look like? And I don't know. I thought it was very, like, parts of it were very mature, in a way that I thought was very interesting. Mantis and Drax are great. Everything that you like about them in the Christmas special is back here. The dog's good. The dog's very good. Yeah, so I like Adam Warlock. Chris Pratt, for all his things, the internet and stuff and whatever, all that put aside, he's very good at this. Like, he's so good as Star-Lord, and he's so likable, and he's got the perfect energy of like half Indiana Jones, half man-child energy, which like now is something that I feel like we've gotten a little overexposed to it, but like, he's the best at it, and he's good in it here. I feel like there's somebody I'm forgetting. Oh, Nebula's good. A lot of fun with Nebula, and obviously Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel. I think people go in expecting for the Rocket Raccoon backstory stuff to be upsetting, right? The things that happen to him are bad. We always knew that. You're not gonna watch, like a dissection and see his innards or something like that. It's not that. But you see this scared little raccoon and stuff, and you see, his like little exposed experiment parts and whatever. That part of it is upsetting. But beyond that, I don't think it's grim. And beyond that, too, this movie is gorgeous. Best looking Marvel movie, I think, right? Like, it has to be. It has the best action sequence, and it has quite a few very good action sequences. Like, the first action sequence, which looking back is not anything insane, but is really good. And, like, this movie does a good job of figuring out, okay, so you got these 4 or 5 guys in a room, right? Like whatever Guardians we have at the moment. How are they each going to try to do this? How are they each going to try to fight this guy or fight, get to over there or something? And I think what they've done with all of these guys is very, it feels very thought through. And that, like, he would try this and he would try this. And I don't know. I really like that element of it. And then, like I said, all-timer fight scene. One of the best action sequences in any Marvel movie. I would love to go to a theater again. I wish there was another one playing, however many minutes behind the one I just got out of, so I could just go back into that theater and watch that scene again, because that was so cool. The needle drops are great. This is 2022, the year of god-awful needle drops between Mario, Ghosted, something else I can't remember. Like, we've had some really rough songs in movies, and this one was great. They always have been, but they're great. I think the post-credit scenes were cool. There's 2 of them. I just think I liked everything about this. And I'm a Marvel shill. Obviously, look at this wall behind me. I bought like the Spider-Punk one before that movie's even out. But I think even as not a Marvel shill, someone who likes these movies, likes these characters, wants to see more of them, and, just enjoys a movie like this and is ready to kind of be sad about some of it, but is not in a grim way. Oh, my boy. He wants attention. Yeah, he's been doing this for 12 whole minutes, so we might have to stop. But I think it's everything I wanted from this, and not just everything I wanted. Like, it was all the fan service, but it was like everything this movie needed to be. It told a great story. James Gunn, I know you watch all of these. Thank you for doing these. Like, they're good. These are really good. The 3 Guardians movies are so solid, and they have so much personality. And, it's just, I'm very impressed that they managed to be the best ones. I think this one will. Here's what I think is going to happen. I'm recording this, what is it, 29th? At 29th, like in the AM. So people haven't seen it yet. Reviewers have seen it. And a lot of reviewers are like, I loved it. And then there were some reviewers that are like, I didn't really like it. It was a lot tonally all over the place, very grim. I think people are going to see it and go, what were they thinking, those reviewers? This movie's amazing. I think there's going to be a lot of we're going to get a lot of don't believe the reviewers, which I think in general that instinct isn't great. But I do think there's something, there's just an interesting disconnect where I see some of these reviews and I'm like, you saw the whole thing, right? They let you watch the whole movie, not just the first half, or not just all the setup. You get some payoff too. I don't know. But yeah, it's the best movie in Phase 5. It's definitely the best superhero movie this year. It's probably going to remain the best superhero movie this year. The only one that's got a chance to stop it is Spider-Verse back there. Really, we'll see. The Flash is apparently the best movie ever made. But yeah, so James Gunn, this is great. I feel so confident Superman is going to be good. However, watching this movie and having just read it, I wish James Gunn was doing this. Because the space, grime, weirdness, all that stuff, the aesthetic, the kind of characters that are upset and sad and working through stuff, that's this book. I'm sure his Superman can be that, but I feel like if he wants to take on another one, Woman of Tomorrow would be perfect for him. And I'll do Superman while you're busy. You got a lot on your plate, James. Just give me a call. We'll figure. Well, I'll do any of them. Green Lantern one. It doesn't matter. But yeah, I think this movie is great. I think everybody is going to like it. No, that's not true. That's way off. I think this movie is great. I think many people are going to really like it. I think it is going to be a lot of people's not their thing, and I think it's going to be a lot of people's favorite Marvel movie. And I think it makes the Guardians franchise the strongest trilogy. Definitely more than Iron Man. Definitely more than Thor. Probably more than Captain America. Definitely more than Ant-Man. It's just so good. Oh, it's so good.